Chapter 31 Spiritual Medicine House. You are listening at novelfull.audio. An hour later, Wu Fan stood in front of an attic. There was a plaque with 3 golden characters written on it, Spiritual Medicine Studio. He took a look at it and walked directly in. As soon as he entered the store, he saw a hall. There were rows of shelves in front of the hall, and these shelves were divided into several areas. On the shelves, he could see neatly arranged small medicine bottles. Wu Fan took a closer look. Look, these elixirs are of all kinds, including those that improve cultivation, those that help break through bottlenecks, those that detoxify, those that help quickly restore mana, etc. At this moment, an old man about 60 years old came over. He took a look at the clothes Wu Fan was wearing and found that this was a disciple of the Qingfeng sect. He did not dare to neglect and hurriedly greeted him, saying, "This fellow Taoist, I don't know what I need to buy." Wu Fan looked at the old man at this time and found that he was an 8th level monk in the Qi training stage, so he replied, "I want to sell some elixirs. I wonder if your store will accept them." "Of course I'll accept it. I wonder what elixir you want to sell." The old man immediately replied with a smile. Wu Fan said nothing and glanced at the monks in the room who were buying elixirs. "I understand, fellow Taoist, please come with me." The old man immediately said with a look of realization, then turned around and walked back. Wu Fan followed the old man to a separate house. The old man said at this time, "Fellow Taoist, please sit down. Let's talk here. I promise that no one will disturb us." Wu Fan didn't waste any time. He took out 5 wooden boxes from the storage bag and placed them on the table. Then he sat on the chair, looked at the old man and said, "The shopkeeper, let's take a look." The old man glanced at Wu Fan, then picked up a wooden box and opened it. It turns out to be a lanyang grass. This spiritual grass is not worth a few pieces of spiritual energy. Wait a minute. Before the old man could finish speaking, his eyes suddenly widened, and then he became stunned. He picked up the spiritual grass and looked at it carefully. He got up, then walked to the window and looked at the light carefully. After a while, he exhaled a long breath, and at the same time his eyes showed excitement. He knew that he had met a treasure today, and as long as he took this plant after buying the elixir, he would put it up for auction and he would definitely make a fortune. Then the old man looked at Wu Fan and said, "I'm sorry for my blindness. I almost missed my sight just now. It turns out that this orchid grass has a medicinal age of 500 years. It's really rare. I wonder how many spiritual stones you want to sell." "Shopkeeper, how many spiritual stones do you think this spiritual herb is worth?" Wu Fan knew from the look on the old man's expression that this spiritual herb should be worth a lot of spiritual stones. In fact, Wu Fan himself didn't know how many spiritual stones these 500 years of elixir were worth, so he could only throw the question back to the old man. Although it is just an ordinary elixir, in this world of immortality, 100-year-old elixir is very rare, let alone a 500-year-old elixir. The old man rolled his eyes, thought for a while and then said, "I wonder what if I give 5,000 spiritual stones to fellow Taoist." When Wu Fan heard the old man's words, he immediately felt happy. He never expected that the old man would give him 5,000 spiritual stones. In his mind, the price he gave himself was only worth about 2,000 spiritual stones at most. In fact, Wu Fan didn't know that lanyang grass was indeed not a very precious elixir, but these 500-year-old elixirs were rare. A monk in the foundation building stage could only live for 300 years, and a monk in the Qi training stage could only live for who grows the elixir for about 100 years and then waits for 500 years to pick it. Only those major cultivating sects will retain some elixirs that are hundreds or thousands of years old. That is because their sects have been passed down for thousands of years, and it is not easy to find elixirs that are hundreds of years old in other places, unless you are in some particularly hidden mountain ranges, places that have not been discovered by monks. Only those who are lucky enough to find a few plants can come out. Wu Fan rolled his eyes and said immediately, "It's better for the shopkeeper to be more serious." When the old man heard Wu Fan's words, he immediately smiled awkwardly, and then gritted his teeth and said, "I can give fellow Taoist 1,000 more spirit stones at most, but no more will be enough." I can guarantee that the entire Changjiangfang there is nothing in the city that can be higher than what I gave you. After hearing this, Wu Fan was immediately overjoyed. Unexpectedly, he casually said that the old man gave an extra 1,000 spirit stones, but Wu Fan said with a calm expression, "Well, the price given by the shopkeeper is quite reasonable. Then please look at other elixirs." After hearing this, the old man secretly breathed a sigh of relief, and then began to check other elixirs. The more the old man looked at him, the more frightened he became. 8 Anise ice grass has a medicinal history of 700 years. Muling Sanshenua is a medicine with an age of 800 years. Hostu Ganoderma is a medicine with a medicinal age of 900 years. Snow Jade Vitality Ginseng has a medicinal age of 1,100 years. When the old man finished reading everything, a layer of sweat broke out on his head. At this time, he looked stunned, his hands were trembling, and he forgot that Wu Fan was still around. Wu Fan just looked at the old man quietly, and the corners of his mouth slowly raised, revealing a faint smile. After a moment, Wu Fan saw that the old man was still standing there stupidly. He had no choice but to tap the table with his fingers. At this time, the old man came back to his senses. He reluctantly put the Snow Jade Vitality Ginseng medicine box on the table. Then he thought about it and said, "I didn't expect that I would see one in my lifetime. 1,000-year-old elixir. I have only read about this 1,000-year-old elixir in books. This is also the first time I have seen a real 1,000-year-old elixir. Fortunately, I have a way to identify the age of the elixir. Otherwise, I would really think that you are a Taoist friend." What method was used to deceive the elixir? That the old man thought for a while and said, "I can normally give you 55,000 spiritual stones for these 5 spiritual herbs, but I see that these spiritual herbs are well preserved and seem to be newly unearthed spiritual herbs, and the medicinal effects have not been lost. I will give you 60,000 spiritual stones. If you have spiritual herbs of about 1,000 years in the future, please come to my spiritual medicine shop first. The price will definitely satisfy you." Wu Fan was very satisfied when he heard the old man say that he would buy these spiritual herbs for 60,000 spiritual stones. This was much more than expected. He thought for a while and said, 1,000-year spiritual herbs are not so easy to get, but if I have them in the future, I will consider your spiritual medicine shop first. Okay, then we have a deal. I will go get spiritual stones for you now, the old man said and was about to go out. Wait a minute, shopkeeper. I still need to buy something from you. Wu Fan quickly stopped the old man and said. Oh, what do you want to buy? I'm not bragging, but I have a complete range of elixirs in my spiritual medicine shop. The old man said with a smile on his face. I'm at the 4th level of Qi refining stage, and I want to buy 50 bottles of elixirs to improve my cultivation, and 5 bottles of elixirs to break through bottlenecks. Finally, I also want to buy some spiritual medicine seeds. Here are 2 lists, shopkeeper, take a look. Wu Fan said, and took out 2 lists from the storage bag and handed them to the old man. The old man took the paper and looked at it for a while and said, I can only find most of the spiritual medicine seeds you want. You can only go to other shops to find the rest. I don't have them here. Okay, then shopkeeper, go and get the things for me. Wu Fan said. Wait a moment, fellow Taoist, I'll be back soon. After saying that, the old man turned around and walked out. Chapter 32, Equipment Refining Pavilion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wu Fan has 2 lists, one is the elixir seeds he received from senior brother Wang, and the other is the precious elixir seeds he selected in the true solution to the elixir. Wu Fan wants to make a list in a small space, plant some precious and long-lasting elixirs there, preferably elixirs that can grow for thousands of years. Half an hour later, the old man walked in, handed a storage bag to Wu Fan, and said at the same time, everything you want is in the storage bag. Even if the storage bag is given to you by our store, each of it is 1 bag each of the seeds of the elixir, as well as 50 bottles of Yuanyang pill to improve cultivation, and 5 bottles of Heqi pill to break through bottlenecks. In total, our store will charge you 11,000 spiritual stones. Fellow Taoist will give you. I'll just count 10,000 spiritual stones, there are still 50,000 spiritual stones in the storage bag. Wu Fan checked the storage bag with his spiritual consciousness and found that what he told the old man in it was indeed correct. Then he smiled and said, "Thank you very much, shopkeeper. I'll take my leave first. Fellow Taoist, go slowly. I hope to come to our store again next time." The old man replied with a smile, and then saw Wu Fan out of the store. After Wu Fan walked out of the elixir room, the corners of his mouth raised slightly, and finally his smile became bigger and bigger. He randomly took out 5 elixirs and got 50,000 spiritual stones. If he was unhappy, it must be fake. In this way, Wu Fan went to several shops one after another and sold all the elixirs. At the same time, he also collected almost all the elixir seeds, and also sold the common herbs. Wu Fan did not expect that those drugstores really charge these ordinary medicinal herbs, but these ordinary medicinal herbs are really cheap. Such a large amount of medicinal herbs, and they are also very old medicinal herbs, are sold for less than 10,000 spiritual stones in total. At this time, Wu Fan had more than 400,000 spirit stones in his storage bag. This was a large amount of spirit stones. You must know that Qingfeng sect only distributes 30 spirit stones every month. Take that by Xiaowen. He said that he traveled thousands of miles to Changjiangfang city just to save the 5 spiritual stones. This shows how difficult it is to earn spiritual stones. Wu Fan didn't dare to sell too many elixirs in one store, so he went to a few more stores to sell them. He was afraid that selling too much would attract others' attention, which was not a good thing for him. Although there were many buildings in this market, the base period monk was on duty, but just in case, he really didn't dare to take the risk. Wu Fan looked at the sky and decided to go to the inn to stay for one night, and then buy magic circles and magic weapons tomorrow. Early the next morning, Wu Fan went straight to the largest weapon refining pavilion. There are many monks coming and going in the weapon refining pavilion. There are many kinds of magic tools hanging around the walls on the first floor, such as knives, swords, shields, spears, bows and arrows, axes, changlings, mirrors, alchemy furnaces, and flying magic tools. Device and so on. Wu Fan looked anxious and went straight to some high-level magic weapons. He knew that a good magic weapon could improve his combat effectiveness a lot. He now has enough spiritual stones, so he must buy some good magic weapons. Wu Fan looked at it for a while and found that most of them were low-level or mid-level magic weapons. He shook his head with some dissatisfaction. At this moment, a waiter in the store came over and saluted Wu Fan, and then asked, "This guest, what magic weapon do you need to buy?" Wu Fan saw that this young man was not very old and had only reached the 2nd level of qi refining. So he said, "I want to buy some good magic weapons, but there is nothing I like here." When the boy heard this, his eyes immediately lit up, and he quickly clasped his fists and said, "Then please come with me, and I will take you to our shopkeeper." Wu Fan nodded, followed the boy to the 2nd floor, and stopped at the door of a room. At this time, the boy said, "Sir, please wait a moment, I will report it." After saying that, he got in just half a cup of tea. The boy came out, followed by an old man. Wu Fan was shocked when he saw this old man, because this old man had the 10th level of qi refining. You must know that of all the monks in the qi refining stage that Wu Fan knows, the one with the highest cultivation level is Senior Brother Wang. Senior Brother Wang is only at the 9th level of the qi refining stage. You must know that the higher the cultivation level, the harder it is to practice. The slower, like Wu Fan himself, he practiced pretty fast in the first 3 levels, but started to slow down after reaching the 4th level. There is still no breakthrough. This is because he has a heaven-defying treasure like small space, so he can't stop practicing. He had reached the peak of the 4th level by the age of 19. Otherwise, with his 5-element mixed spiritual roots, it was uncertain whether he would be able to reach the 10th level in this life. At this time, the old man came over, looked at Wu Fan with a loud laugh and said, "I heard that Taoist friend wants to buy a good magic weapon. I wonder what style you want. I'll think about it before I make a decision." Wu Fan said, cupping his fists. Okay, let's go inside and talk. The old man smiled and nodded, then the old man introduced Wu Fan into the house and poured Wu Fan a cup of tea. This room is very luxuriously decorated, with some antique tables, chairs, and furniture. The layout is very elegant. The most surprising thing is that there is actually an expensive incense burner in this room, slowly blowing out a wisp of green. The smoke filled the room with the faint scent of sandalwood. Fellow Taoist, you drink tea first. I'll ask someone to get you the magical artifacts. You can see if you like any of them. After the old man finished speaking, he said to the young man just now, go, take those high-quality magic weapons and show them to this fellow Taoist. The guy agreed and turned around and left. Sorry, shopkeeper. Wu Fan looked at the old man and said with a smile. It's not troublesome. Fellow Taoists will make a good selection later. These are all high-quality magic weapons. I guarantee that fellow Taoists will like them. The old man said with a laugh. A quarter of an hour later, the young man came in with 3 maids, and the 4 of them were holding a dozen wooden boxes in their hands. The old man walked over and opened the dozen wooden boxes one by one, and said at the same time, Dao Yu, take a look at these magic weapons to see if there are any that you like. These are all top-grade magic weapons. Wu Fan knew that magic weapons were divided into low-level magic weapons, medium-level magic weapons, high-level magic weapons, and the last best magic weapons. Generally, cultivators like him who were in the 4th or 5th level of Qi refining stage mostly used low-level or medium-level magic weapons. It was not worth mentioning whether they could afford a magic weapon of too high a level. Even if they really bought it, they might not be able to bring out the full power of the magic weapon. Because the cultivation level was too low and the mana was insufficient, it was difficult to bring out the full power of the high-level magic weapon. If one wanted to use the full power of the high-level magic weapon, there was a way, that is, to infuse all the mana in his body into the magic weapon, but if he did so, he would face a problem, that is, the mana in his body would not last long before it would be exhausted. At that time, it will lose its fighting ability due to the exhaustion of mana in its body. Therefore, it is better not to do this unless it is necessary. If you have to, try to make a quick decision, otherwise you can only be slaughtered. Wu Fan looked at these magic weapons, which were indeed much better than those on the first floor. Wu Fan liked the red flying sword and the green short needle. Wu Fan looked at it for a while, thought about it, and then said, I wonder how powerful this flying sword and this short needle are. Are they powerful? Chapter 33, The Heaven-Breaking God Formation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. If you have good eyesight, these 2 magic weapons are the best here. This Fire Sun sword is extremely hard and has its own fire attribute attack, while this Xianxia needle is a speed weapon. It's extremely fast, and it can also block sound during flight. This is the best magic weapon for sneak attacks, but the price. The old man paused here. The price is easy to talk about. As long as the price is reasonable, I can still afford it. Of course Wu Fan knew what the old man meant, and immediately gave him reassurance. When the old man heard this, a smile appeared on his face, and he said at the same time, I will sell this fierce sun sword for 3,000 spirit stones, and this Xianxia needle is even more rare. I will sell it for 5,000 spirit stones. What do you think? That when Wu Fan heard that these 2 magic weapons required 8,000 spirit stones, he thought they were still very expensive. This was him. If it were anyone else, it would be difficult to afford them. You know, the monthly price of the sect, even if he saved all the spiritual stones he was given, if he wanted to buy a fierce sun sword, it would take nearly 10 years to afford it. One can imagine how precious these 2 magic weapons are to other people. But thinking about it again, these are 2 high-grade magical artifacts, and they are also high-grade magical artifacts among treasures. They are not comparable to those low-level or mid-level ordinary items, so Wu Fan was relieved, but in addition to buying these 2 magic weapons, he also wanted to buy a few other items. One was a magic weapon, a shield, and a large space storage bag. These 2 items were very cheap. Even if he bought them, the shopkeeper he didn't think much about it. At most, he thought he was a descendant of a certain foundation building elder, but the last two items were very expensive. One was a flying magic weapon, and the other was a formation. If Wu Fan combined these two, if you buy it, the old man may have other ideas. I don't know if this old man is that kind of person, but for the sake of safety, you still have to find a way. Wu Fan's thoughts were racing, and then his eyes lit up, and he just heard him say, "The price is quite reasonable. I am ready to buy these two magical weapons, but I still need two more magical weapons. I wonder what other magic weapons you need?" The old man asked with a smile. "I also need a higher grade shield and a large storage bag." Wu Fan said. The old man nodded with a smile, and then said, "Wait a moment, fellow Taoist, I will ask someone to get it right now." Wu Fan rolled his eyes and said with a serious face, "Don't worry, shopkeeper. I haven't finished speaking yet. I asked for this shield and storage bag. However, I am the boss of my family who can come to your weapon refining pavilion this time. As Zhu ordered, my ancestor asked me to bring back two items. These two items are a flying magic weapon and a set of formations. My ancestor said that these two items must be the best in your store." When the old man heard Wu Fan's words, he was shocked. His ancestor. Could it be the Jindan ancestor of Qingfeng sect? "And you also specified that you want the best flying magic weapon and formation in my store." When the old man saw Wu Fan, he knew that he was a disciple of the Qingfeng sect because Wu Fan was wearing the same clothes as a disciple of the Qingfeng sect. However, he did not expect that this kid's identity was so terrifying. No wonder he had a magical weapon with thousands of spiritual stones. "Just buy it if you want, and don't care about the spiritual stone at all." When the old man learned that it was the Jindan patriarch who wanted to buy the items in his store, he did not dare to neglect and said quickly, "Don't worry, fellow Taoist, I will bring you the best right now." Then he shouted to the young man, "Go quickly and get the flying spiritual weapon that I have collected, and the treasure that is the treasure of the store. In addition, take the magic weapon shield. Here you go, get a large space storage bag." A quarter of an hour later, the boy walked in slowly with a serious expression, holding several wooden boxes in his hands. He walked over cautiously, and then gently placed the wooden boxes on the table. The old man opened the wooden boxes one by one with the same solemnity. "Fellow Taoist, please see, this Hunyuan diamond shield is a top-quality magic weapon. As long as you release it when facing the enemy, I can guarantee that monks below the foundation building stage will not be able to break through its defense. Even if it will take some effort for the monks in the foundation building stage to break through its defense. This Hunyuan diamond shield is among the best magical weapons, and it is also the most top-notch existence." The old man held a small silver hand-sized piece. Shield said. Wu Fan took one look at this small shield and felt very satisfied after knowing that it was a top-quality magical weapon. At this time, I saw the old man solemnly put his hand into a wooden box, and then carefully took out a white boat, and then said, "Fellow Taoist, look at this Yunmist boat again. This is beyond the scope of the best magic weapon. Instead, it has reached the category of spiritual weapons, and it is also a very rare flying spiritual weapon. This cloud boat is not only extremely fast, but also has a concealment effect. As long as the concealment function of this cloud boat is used, it will release white mist. Covering the boat body, it looks like an ordinary white cloud in the sky, and it also has the effect of blocking spiritual consciousness. Even if the monks in the foundation building stage release their spiritual consciousness, they will not be able to see it. The most valuable thing is that, however, this Yunwu boat does not require monks to use mana to activate it, so there is no need to worry about running out of mana when activating it. There is a driving array inside the boat, and you only need to add some spiritual stones inside. The control is satisfactory, and this cloud boat is also the best flying weapon in my shop." When Wu Fan heard this, he was really shocked. This small boat actually had concealment effects and the ability to block spiritual consciousness. It didn't need its own magic power to activate it. You know, Wu Fan and the other three flew to Changjiangfang City for half a day. But I rested 3 times on the way because controlling the flying sword consumes too much mana. Wu Fan immediately decided to buy the flying boat no matter how many spiritual stones there were. The old man saw Wu Fan didn't say anything, then turned his head to look at the last wooden box. He didn't take out the items in the wooden box, but said solemnly, "This is a set of Mtlnovel Ban Shan array. This array is the treasure of my store. It is a magic array that combines defense, illusion, and blocking of divine consciousness. Its inner layer is a defensive array that can withstand the attack of Jindan stage cultivators for an hour without breaking. Those below Jindan stage cannot break its defense. The outer layer is an illusion array. Even if a foundation building stage cultivator breaks into this illusion array, it will be difficult for him to get out. At the same time, it can also block Jindan stage cultivators. The following cultivators' spiritual senses can't detect it even if they are Jindan stage cultivators without careful search. However, this array consumes spirit stones. It has 9 array eyes, and each array eye consumes 10 spirit stones every day. In other words, this array needs to consume 90 spirit stones every day to maintain the operation of the array. If someone breaks the array, the spiritual stones consumed will be even more. This Mtlnovel Duan Shan array can be used as a mountain protection array for a cultivation family. After the old man finished speaking, he stopped talking and waited for Wu Fan's meaning. After Wu Fan heard what the old man said, he was a little ecstatic in his heart, thinking that this array was too powerful. Isn't this the array I need? But this array consumes too many spirit stones, requiring 90 spirit stones a day. Wu Fan was a little speechless. This is only him. If it were someone else, who could afford this array? Seeing Wu Fan was silent, the old man could only helplessly say, "Dao Yu, what do you think of this cloud and mist boat and mysterious god-breaking formation? Does your ancestor like it?" That Wu Fan nodded at him and just smiled without saying anything. The old man saw that there was a way and the deal was almost done. He was delighted and quickly took out another golden storage bag and said, "This is a storage bag with a space of 10 feet, worth about 1,000 spirit stones. I will give it to you as a gift, just as a friend." Wu Fan picked up the golden storage bag and looked at it. His own storage bag only had a space of 10 feet, but the old man's was 10 feet, which was definitely enough for Wu Fan. After thinking about it, Wu Fan said, "Then please ask the shopkeeper to calculate how many spirit stones these cost in total. If I think the price is okay, then I will buy it for my ancestor." Chapter 34 Transaction completed. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The old man didn't waste any words and said immediately, "This sword of the sun is 3,000 spirit stones, Xianxia needle is 5,000 spirit stones, Hunyuan diamond shield is a top-grade magic weapon, I will charge you 20,000 spirit stones, and this flying magic weapon cloud and mist boat is rare, plus it has the function of concealment and blocking spiritual consciousness. I will charge you 150,000 spirit stones, and my treasure Mtlnovel Duan array is very expensive, I will not sell it for less than 300,000 spirit stones. So the total is 478,000 spirit stones. I also know that this was bought by your ancestor. I dare not ask you for more spirit stones. I will charge you 450,000, which is equivalent to I will give you the Liang sword, Xianxia needle, storage bag, and Hunyuan diamond shield. What do you think?" When Wu Fan heard this, it was indeed not a small amount. His total assets were only about 470,000 spiritual stones. He spent 450,000 at once. He was still a little reluctant. This was the 400,000 spiritual stones he exchanged for after selling all the spiritual medicines in the space. However, when he thought about the magic tools and formations he bought, he felt that it was still worth it. Since he was determined to buy them, Wu Fan didn't hesitate and looked directly at the old man and said, "Okay, I'll buy it," and then threw a storage bag to the old man. The old man took the storage bag, scanned it with his spiritual sense, and then laughed and said, "Dao Yu is straightforward. Even if we are done with the transaction, please put away all the magic tools." Wu Fan smiled and nodded, then collected all the magic weapons, and then clasped his fists to the old man and said, since the transaction is completed, I will take my leave first. Take care, fellow Taoist. If you need anything in the future, you can always come to me. The old man said with a smile. After Wu Fan left, the old man whispered to himself, I didn't expect this kid to be the descendant of the Jindan patriarch, but it doesn't matter. I didn't take many spirit stones from him. I think the Jindan patriarch won't say anything. The shopkeeper would never have thought that this unfounded Jindan patriarch was just a tiger skin pulled by Wu Fan, but it's no wonder that the shopkeeper believed it. You know, the spirit stones that Wu Fan spent today, let alone Qi training cultivators, even foundation building cultivators can't take out, and Wu Fan really took out so many spirit stones, which just proves that Wu Fan was telling the truth. No one else would believe that a Qi training cultivator could take out 450,000 spirit stones. Although Wu Fan took a risky move, he minimized the danger. However, for future safety considerations, it is worth it for him to take some risks to get the formation back. As long as he has this formation, he will be safe in the future when entering and leaving the small space. Wu Fan walked out of the weapon refining pavilion. He touched the golden storage bag on his waist with his hand and scanned the magic weapons inside with his spiritual sense. He was still very excited. Then Wu Fan went to buy some pills to quickly restore mana, and also bought some fasting pills. One pill of this fasting pill can make you not need to eat for a month, and it is also very cheap. Wu Fan bought enough fasting pills to last for 5 years. Finally, Wu Fan walked to the door of a talisman pavilion, thought about it, and walked in. When Wu Fan walked out of the talisman pavilion, there were already some more talismans in his storage bag, including 5 mid-level escape talismans, which can make the body invisible, but it can't hide from the spiritual eye observation of the foundation building period monks, and 5 low-level escape talismans whose function is to escape underground, and some auxiliary or attack talismans such as Prison Talisman, Ice Cone Talisman, God Travel Talisman, Immobilization Talisman, Rocket Talisman, etc. The characteristics of talismans are fast casting speed and great power. For example, if Wu Fan casts the Ice Cone technique, the casting speed is slow and it also consumes a lot of mana in the body. The talisman seals the spell into the talisman paper, and the monk only needs to infuse a little mana to achieve the miraculous effect of instant casting, so the talisman can play a big role in some battles. After Wu Fan bought all the items, there were only 15,000 spirit stones left in the storage bag. There was still one day before Wu Fan and his 2 friends left the market. He was free and prepared to go to the square to stroll around. The square was full of stalls, but there was nothing good. Wu Fan planned to take a look. Anyway, he had nothing to do and had already bought everything he needed. When he arrived at the square, it was like coming to a market in a mortal city. Wu Fan walked into the crowd and found that most of the people who came here were cultivators below the 6th level of Qi refining. Wu Fan stood at the edge of the square, watching the people coming and going, listening to the noisy bargaining. Wu Fan even saw someone buying pills not by the bottle, but by the pill. This also shows how difficult the life of low-level cultivators is. Wu Fan raised his legs and walked inside, looking at the items on the stalls casually. With Wu Fan's current vision, these items are hard to catch his eye. Just like that, Wu Fan walked and looked around casually. At this moment, Wu Fan stopped and looked at a stall in front of him. There were no valuable items on the stall. Except for some miscellaneous low-level refining materials and a few ordinary spiritual medicines of about 10 years old, there was nothing else. There was a girl standing on the stall. She was about 16 or 17 years old, wearing a white long skirt, with a sweet look. She was only at the 2nd level of Qi refining. At this time, her eyes were red and she was sobbing softly. There were also a few people talking and laughing in front of her stall. Among them, a big man at the 4th level of Qi refining said with a smile, I say, Miss Mengyao, don't come out to deceive people anymore. You hold that broken book every day and say it is the secret technique of the ancestor Qianhuan. It is also a half-volume book with a broken book. The price is so high. Which fool would buy it? Besides, who can afford it? I'm not lying. This is really the secret technique practiced by ancestor Qian Huan. This is what my grandfather told me. If it weren't for the fact that my grandfather was highly poisonous, he had to use Bingxin pill to detoxify it. Otherwise, I won't sell it, but the Bingxin pill requires 900 spirit stones. I have no choice. I can only sell this secret technique for 900 spirit stones. If you give me less, I won't sell it. Although this is only half of the book and the cultivation techniques in it are gone, the secret techniques in it are intact. If anyone can master it, these 900 spirit stones will be a huge bargain for him. Then, the girl named Mengyao was sobbing while explaining to those people. Ha ha ha, it's really ridiculous. Miss Mengyao, tell everyone, can this secret technique be practiced? At this time, another person asked with a rude look. After hearing this, the girl named Mengyao lowered her head and remained silent, as if she was really hit by the man's words. The big man who was the first to speak also sneered, that's right, this secret technique cannot be practiced at all. I have seen it 2 days ago. To practice this secret technique, you need thousands of years of spiritual grass, and it's not just 1 or 2 plants. It's possible. Isn't this a joke? Let's not say whether this secret technique is true or not. Even if it is true, who can come up with the millennium spiritual grass? Beside the stall, there were many monks watching. When they heard this, they all smiled and shook their heads and walked away. Chapter 35 Su Mengyao. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The girl also knew that this half of the book would definitely not be sold, but she was in urgent need of spiritual stones to save her grandfather. At this time, she showed helplessness in her eyes. Then she slowly squatted on the ground, buried her head on her knees between her legs, held her head with both hands, and suddenly burst into tears. She could no longer suppress her emotions. She was very anxious. If she couldn't buy the elixir to save her grandfather, she would lose a relative forever. But she had taken out the most precious thing in the family, but she couldn't sell it. Many people saw the girl crying and felt a little bit sorry, but in the end they shook their heads and walked away. At this moment, the girl suddenly heard a voice. Excuse me, can I take a look at this book? That the girl slowly stopped crying, she slowly raised her head and looked at the person who was talking. She saw that this was a handsome young man who was only a few years older than her. At this moment, the young man was looking at her with a smile on his face. The girl hurriedly stood up and wiped her tears and said, "Yes, please take a look." Then she handed the book to the young man. This young man was of course Wu Fan. He was just watching nearby before, but then he heard that this secret technique required 1,000-year-old spiritual herbs to practice, so he came over out of curiosity. Wu Fan took the half of the book and said, "Girl, can you introduce this secret technique to me?" That the girl heard Wu Fan's question and then forced a smile and said, "My name is Su Mengyao. My ancestors were also a big immortal family, but later they declined. Only my grandfather and I were left to depend on each other. This half of the book was also obtained by my ancestors. It is said that this is the secret technique practiced by the Thousand Illusion Ancestor. Thousands of years ago, the Thousand Illusion Ancestor was also called the Thousand Illusion Old Demon. He was in the immortal world at that time, stirring up chaos in the immortal world. When many ancestors wanted to unite to kill him, but they never succeeded. He relied on this secret technique to escape the pursuit again and again. If this secret technique is practiced, one can change the appearance of the body at will, and even change one's own breath, which is much more powerful than the ordinary chi collecting technique. It's a pity that the technique is gone, and only this half of the secret technique is left, but don't worry, the secret technique is intact. I didn't lie to you, and everything I said is true." The girls seemed to be afraid that Wu Fan would not believe her, and added 2 more sentences at the end. Wu Fan looked at the girl and asked, "What's the matter with the 1,000-year-old spiritual grass?" They said. That when the girl heard this, her face suddenly turned red, and then she replied a little embarrassedly, "This is the difficulty of practicing this secret technique. If you want to practice this secret technique, you must practice it with a 1,000-year-old ghost hiding grass. This ghost hiding grass is easy to buy, but the 1,000-year-old medicinal grass is extinct in the world of cultivating immortals and cannot be found at all. After the girl finished speaking, she felt a little embarrassed. Wu Fan probably understood the reason. He decided to buy the secret technique. No matter whether the girl was lying to him or not, he decided to buy it. If the secret technique was true, he could practice it with his ability to ripen herbs. If it was false, he would help the girl. When he just saw the girl, he suddenly thought of his sister. He really couldn't bear to see the girl crying anxiously. Thinking of this, Wu Fan immediately said, "I'll buy this secret technique." Then Wu Fan took out a big bag from the storage bag and handed it to the girl. The girl hurriedly took the bag, with an unbelievable look on her face. Then she hurriedly checked the spirit stones. After checking, the girl finally smiled and smiled happily. Thank you very much, thank you for believing in me, and thank you for helping me." The girl held the spirit stone bag and bowed to Wu Fan excitedly. Wu Fan smiled slightly, and then said, "Girl, go quickly and buy elixirs to save your grandfather. It's not safe for you to carry so many spirit stones." The girl nodded, and bowed again with gratitude in her eyes. Then she hurriedly packed up the stall, looked at Wu Fan again, and then walked into the crowd. Wu Fan threw the books into the storage bag and walked out of the square. He first bought some ghost-hiding grass seeds, and then returned to the inn. 3 days later, Wu Fan, Zhou Yu, and Bai Xiaowen left one after another. When Wu Fan returned to the sect residence, he took out the Mi Tian Duanshan array directly, and looked at the 9 colorful array flags in his hand, and a relieved smile appeared on his face. With this array, Wu Fan would not be afraid of others discovering his secrets in the future. Although the array consumes a lot of spirit stones, Wu Fan thought it was worth it. The most important thing for Wu Fan now is to refine this set of magic arrays as soon as possible, so that it can be used after the refining is completed. The magic weapon also needs to be refined. It is actually simple to refine. You only need to imprint your spiritual consciousness on the magic weapon, and then slowly refine it. After the refining is completed, this magic weapon will belong to you alone, and others cannot use it. If your magic weapon is obtained by someone else, if he wants to use it, he must remove and refine the spiritual consciousness imprint you left on the magic weapon, and then imprint his own spiritual consciousness on it before he can use it. 3 days later, in the courtyard, Wu Fan finally finished refining the 9 formation flags. He looked at the formation flags in his hand, then raised his hand and threw the formation flags into the sky. The 9 formation flags flew to different locations in the courtyard at the same time, and finally all took root in the ground. Then a white mist suddenly rose in the whole courtyard, and the white mist slowly surrounded the whole courtyard. After a moment, all the white mist disappeared. From a distance, the courtyard was no different from before, but if a cultivator below the Jindan stage entered the courtyard, it would be difficult for him to get out, unless Wu Fan took the initiative to let him out. Then Wu Fan took out all the spirit stones in the storage bag and changed his mind. He put another 1,000 spirit stones back into the storage bag, and then he put more than 10,000 spirit stones into the 9 formation eyes. These spirit stones were enough for the formation to operate for more than 3 months, and then Wu Fan entered the small space. After 5 days in the small space, Wu Fan finally planted all the spiritual medicine seeds. Half a month later, Wu Fan had refined all the magic weapons. In the space of more than 10 miles in the training room, Wu Fan was seen controlling a fiery red flying sword flying in the sky. After a quarter of an hour, he put the flying sword away, and then threw out a green needle. The green needle flew forward as fast as lightning, and there was no sound. After a moment, Wu Fan put the flying needle away. Wu Fan turned his palm and saw a palm-sized silver shield appear in his palm. Then he threw the small shield in front of him, and the small shield suddenly turned into a giant shield of 10 feet in size and blocked Wu Fan. Wu Fan walked around the giant shield, nodded with satisfaction, and put the shield away. Chapter 36 Heavenly Ghost Chi Gathering Technique. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At this time, Wu Fan slapped the storage bag with his palm, and a white boat flew out of the storage bag. The boat shook and suddenly turned into a 3-meter-long flying boat and stopped in front of Wu Fan. Wu Fan touched the flying boat with his hand with a happy expression, and then circled around the flying boat. He jumped up and jumped onto the flying boat. There was a groove inside the flying boat. Wu Fan took out some spiritual stones and put them in. Then he drove the flying boat whoosh and flew out. The speed was like lightning. In the blink of an eye, it had flown 100 meters away. Then, layers of white mist suddenly emerged from the flying boat, and the white mist gradually covered the flying boat. From a distance, it looked like a white cloud floating in the sky. 2 hours later, Wu Fan sat cross-legged in his space bedroom, holding a bottle of pills in his hand. He poured out a pill and threw it directly into his mouth. Wu Fan immediately felt a huge spiritual power rushing into his body. Without thinking too much, Wu Fan quickly controlled the spiritual power to run in the meridians, and finally slowly turned into mana back to the Dantian, and was still attacking the bottleneck that had not been broken through for a long time. An hour later, there was a bang in Wu Fan's body, and then Wu Fan's chi became much stronger, and at the same time, the mana in the Dantian also increased a lot. Since then, Wu Fan finally broke through to the 5th level of chi training. The next day, Wu Fan slowly opened his eyes and smiled. Wu Fan thought to himself, I didn't expect this Hechi pill to be so useful for breaking through the bottleneck. I broke through the bottleneck with just one pill. After a moment, Wu Fan closed his eyes again and began his long practice. Since breaking through the bottleneck, Wu Fan has been relying on Yuan Yang Dan to improve his cultivation. He had never used elixirs to cultivate before. Since taking elixirs to cultivate, Wu Fan realized how important elixirs are. He felt the rich spiritual energy brought by the elixirs in his body, which was much faster than his usual cultivation. In this way, Wu Fan ate elixirs like eating candy beans every day. If other cultivators saw this, they would definitely drop their jaws. Time passed quickly. After 2.5 years in the small space, Wu Fan slowly opened his eyes. He had been taking elixirs continuously in these 2.5 years. Finally, 3 days ago, he took another step forward and entered the 6th level of Qi training. Wu Fan is very happy now. You know, the later the cultivation, the more difficult it is. If Wu Fan does not take elixirs to cultivate, with his constitution of 5 elements and mixed spiritual roots, let alone breaking through the 6th level in more than 2 years, even if he is given 10 years, he may not be able to break through to the 6th level. At this moment, his elixirs have all been used up, and now it is time to end the retreat and go out. During this period, Wu Fan ripened 10,000-year-old spiritual herbs. He planned to go to Changyang Market again because the spiritual stones to maintain the operation of the Mi Tian Duanshan array were almost used up, and his elixirs were basically used up. He decided to sell these 10 spiritual herbs and exchange them for some spiritual stones. In the outside world, in Wu Fan's courtyard, he walked out of the courtyard, casually released the flying sword issued by the sect, and then stepped on the flying sword and turned into a light to fly away. Wu Fan didn't dare to use the cloud boat to travel now, because anyone with a discerning eye could see that this flying boat was priceless, and it was also a spiritual weapon-level flying boat. If it was discovered by some people in the sect, he couldn't explain it clearly. He couldn't use the Liang sword either. First, it was too expensive. Second, with his cultivation level that had just broken through the 6th level, he couldn't drive the Liang sword to fly for a long time. At least he had to wait until he entered the 7th level. There are 12 levels in the Qi refining stage, and every 3 levels are a stage. From the 1st to the 3rd level, low-level magic tools can be used and Rui can be controlled. From the 4th to the 6th level, medium-level magic tools can be used and Rui can be controlled. From the 7th to the 9th level, high-level magic tools can be used. Only from the 10th to the 12th level, the ultimate magic tools can be controlled. In the practice, there are also 3 levels in the Qi refining stage. Breaking through the 4th level from the 3rd level is a level, but it is relatively easy to break through. Breaking through the 7th level from the 6th level is a level, and breaking through this level is much more difficult. Many cultivators are trapped in this level for many years. Breaking through from the 9th level to the 10th level is a big level. Many cultivators in the Qi refining stage are trapped in this level for their entire lives and cannot break through. Take all the cultivators in the qi refining stage that Wu Fan has seen. He has seen many below the 9th level, but he has never seen more than 10 above the 10th level, and these people are basically the ones he saw in Changyang Market, including the owner of the refining pavilion, in the Qingfeng sect. Those who are on the 10th floor or above are usually inner disciples or core disciples. They usually never come to the outer sect, so it is difficult to see them. These people will be trained by the sect, which also causes them to practice in seclusion. 3 days later, Wu Fan returned to the sect. He had sold the 10,000-year-old spiritual medicines in his hand and exchanged them for nearly 300,000 spiritual stones. The ones he brought this time were all more than 1,000 years old, and some of them were relatively precious spiritual medicines. Then he went to buy enough pills and returned. After Wu Fan came back, he went to the Sutra Pavilion again and selected some secret spells that he wanted to exchange but couldn't afford before. For example, some medium and high-level spells such as Beast Taming Technique, Soul Searching Technique, Hidden Technique, Freezing Technique, Quicksand Technique, Sound Transmission Technique, Entanglement Technique, Driving Object Technique, and Light Body Technique. He also collected some jade slips in the Sutra library that he thought were very useful. For example, he collected some jade slips of low-level pill recipes, jade slips introducing monsters, and some jade slips introducing the world of immortal cultivation, such as Common Sense of Immortal Cultivation, Maps of Xia Country, Geography, etc. In this way, Wu Fan would not have to go out in the dark in the future. Then he placed enough spirit stones at the center of the Mi Tian Duanshan array and entered the small space again. In addition to practicing during this retreat, he also wanted to practice all these spells. There was one more important thing: he had to practice the secret technique he bought from Su Mengyao, because he had sensed the danger when he went to Changyang Market to sell those 1,000-year-old spiritual herbs. He found that several shop owners looked at him with ill intentions, but this was understandable, because this was his second time to sell 1,000-year-old spiritual herbs. Even 100-year-old spiritual herbs are rare in the world of cultivation now, so how could 1,000-year-old spiritual herbs appear one after another? The first time he went, those people thought he was lucky and he found a few 1,000-year-old spiritual herbs, but the second time he went, they didn't think so. So Wu Fan planned that he would not sell spiritual herbs again before he mastered this secret technique. After practicing the secret technique, he could change his appearance at will, and he could also change his body shape and breath. It will be much safer to sell elixirs then. Wu Fan had read the secret book before. There are 2 kinds of secrets in it. One is Heavenly Ghost Qi Gathering Technique. After practicing this secret technique, you can change your own breath and even hide your cultivation. The second is Thousand Illusion Bone Shrinking Technique. After practicing this secret technique, you can change your appearance and body shape at will. However, if you want to practice these 2 secrets, you can't just rely on the secret formula. You must also practice with the 1,000-year-old ghost hiding grass. The method is simple. You just need to extract the ghost hiding grass into liquid medicine, then bathe with the liquid medicine every day, and finally cooperate with the secret formula, so that you can practice it. It seems simple to say, but in the entire cultivation world for thousands of years, only the old demon Qinhuan has successfully practiced it, because the 1,000-year-old ghost hiding grass is difficult to find. Even if you are lucky enough to find one, you can't practice it successfully. So Wu Fan plans to cultivate more 1,000-year-old ghost hiding grass in the next few years. Chapter 37 Qi Refining Level 7. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Then Wu Fan entered a long period of cultivation. 2 years had passed in the outside world during this cultivation. Now Wu Fan was 21 years old. Although 20 years had actually passed in the space, Wu Fan's appearance had not changed much, except that he looked a little more mature. Wu Fan knew that his lifespan was based on the time in the outside world. In the 20 years in the space, Wu Fan had been practicing the fire-burning art for the first 6 or 7 years. Now he finally knew the difficulty of the 5 elements mixed spiritual roots. He had heard before that it was difficult for the 5 elements mixed spiritual roots to break through the 7th level of Qi refining, and they would basically stay below the 6th level in this life. He was a little bit unconvinced at the time, but when he really started to practice the 6th level, he found that it was indeed as difficult as ascending to heaven. He ate pills like eating candy beans every day, but it took him 7 years to practice the 6th level to the great perfection. However, he encountered difficulties when he was trying to break through the 7th level. He ate a bottle of He Chi pill in a row but still failed to break through the bottleneck. He knew that he was a little too eager for success, and he also knew that breaking through the 6th level to the 7th level was a hurdle. Wu Fan could only end his practice helplessly. Then he began to practice magic. He had brought back many magic secrets from the Sutra library. In this way, Wu Fan spent another 5 years practicing magic. In these 5 years, he practiced all those magics, and even practiced the previous basic magic collection. Just 12 years later, Wu Fan had ripened a lot of ghost hiding grass, and he even cultivated more than a dozen ghost hiding grass that were 2,000 or 3,000 years old. From then on, he began to practice heavenly ghost gathering chi technique and 1,000 illusion bone shrinking technique. He practiced these 2 secret techniques for a full 6 years before he was just about to practice them to a small success. He can now initially change his breath and appearance, but Wu Fan dared to guarantee that if he changed his appearance and breath, even if the foundation building cultivator used the spirit eye technique to observe him carefully, it would not have any effect, and he would definitely not be able to discover his true appearance. However, Wu Fan suffered a lot while practicing these 2 secret techniques. He did not expect that the liquid medicine extracted from the ghost hiding grass would be so painful when bathing, just like being bitten by thousands of ants. But then again, he thought it was worth it to exchange the pain for safety when going out in the future. After completing all the training, Wu Fan was ready to continue to break through the bottleneck. In this way, after a year, his hard work paid off. He finally broke through the bottleneck and reached the 7th level of chi refining. Then he consolidated his cultivation for another year, and now Wu Fan was ready to come out of retreat. At this time, in the small space, Wu Fan was looking at the acres of land outside the courtyard. He saw a vibrant spiritual medicine growing on the land, which was very beautiful. These spiritual medicines were more than 20 years old. It is conceivable that if Wu Fan sold all these spiritual medicines, he would get a lot of spiritual stones in return. However, Wu Fan never planned to sell them. First, he was not short of spiritual stones now. Second, he was going to learn alchemy in the future, and these spiritual medicines would be very useful to him. As far as he knew, learning alchemy was very difficult. It was normal to lose some spiritual medicines during the process of refining the elixir. Not to mention the novice alchemist, even the alchemy master would often fail to refine, so he had to continue to cultivate these spiritual medicines for his future alchemy. At this time, Wu Fan's body suddenly shook, and then he saw his body suddenly stretched, and his muscles began to swell, and at the same time, his facial features began to wriggle and change. After a while, Wu Fan turned into Song Fei's tall and strong appearance. At this time, Wu Fan waved his arm, and a water mirror suddenly appeared in front of him. He looked at himself in the mirror and suddenly laughed. After a moment, he began to change again. This time, he changed into the appearance of his master, Lu Lao. Just like that, he became Wu Lao de, Wang's senior brother, and Bai Xiaowen. 2 hours later, Wu Fan might have been tired of playing, and he changed back to his own appearance. On this day 2 years later, Wu Fan left the small space and returned to the outside world. He walked out of the yard and then stopped where he was. After thinking about it, he began to perform the heavenly ghost chi gathering technique to suppress the 7th level of chi refining to the 5th level, and then release the flying sword to fly into the sky. Although Wu Fan spent more than 20 years in the space, only more than 2 years had passed in the outside world. If others knew that he only took more than 2 years to cultivate from the 4th level to the 7th level, they would regard him as a monster. With this cultivation speed, what is the difference between him and those Tianlingyan cultivators? That's why Wu Fan suppressed his cultivation to the 5th level of chi refining. A quarter of an hour later, Wu Fan came to the office and saw Senior Brother Wang. After he walked into the room, Senior Brother Wang was also stunned when he saw Wu Fan, and then suddenly laughed and said, "I said, Junior Brother Wu, I haven't seen you for more than 2 years. What have you been busy with these 2 years? Long time no see, Senior Brother Wang." In the past 2 years, I have been practicing and going out to do tasks, so I haven't come here. Wu Fan also smiled and bowed to Senior Brother Wang. Senior Brother Wang took another close look at Wu Fan, and then laughed and said, Congratulations to Junior Brother Wu for breaking through the 5th level of Qi refining. Have you completed the task you received 2 years ago? Wu Fan didn't say anything, but took out more than 30 wooden boxes from the storage bag with a smile, and then put them on the table. Senior Brother Wang came over, opened the wooden boxes and looked at them one by one, then said, Junior Brother Wu, you are lucky. These spiritual medicines are very hard to find. Generally, few people would take up such a task. Please wait a moment, and I will calculate how many spiritual stones these are worth in total. Wu Fan smiled a little embarrassedly and said, Junior Brother, I also spent a lot of effort to collect these spiritual medicines. It's a good thing to complete the task. In this way, you also get a lot of spiritual stones. I just calculated that these spiritual medicines can be exchanged for 1,850 spiritual stones, and there are 810 spiritual stones issued by the sect in the past 2 years, a total of 2,650 spiritual stones. Junior Brother, wait a moment, I will go in to get you spiritual stones. After saying this, Senior Brother Wang turned and walked into the house. After a while, Senior Brother Wang came back and handed Wu Fan a big bag, and then said, Junior Brother, here, your spiritual stones. Thank you, Senior Brother. Wu Fan reached out to take the bag, and he took out 200 spiritual stones from the bag and put them into a small bag, then put the big bag into the storage bag, and then he suddenly stuffed the small bag into Senior Brother Wang's arms. This. Junior Brother Wu, isn't this bad? Senior Brother Wang was startled, and then he quickly looked around, and found that no other cultivators were looking at this side, and then he let out a long sigh. Senior Brother Wang, just accept it. I have troubled you a lot in the past few years. I was short of money before, so I didn't express my gratitude to you. Let alone other things, the courtyard you found for me back then, I lived very comfortably. Wu Fan said with gratitude. Well, then, Senior Brother, I will accept it shamelessly. If you need my help in the future, just ask, and I promise to do it for you properly. Senior Brother Wang said, while patting his chest with his hands. Senior Brother, you are polite. By the way, Senior Brother, I want to see if there are any other tasks. I want to take another one. Wu Fan laughed twice, and then changed the subject and asked about the task. Chapter 38 Linshan Town. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It's easy to talk, Senior Brother, I will look for you now. I must find a task for Junior Brother to earn spiritual stones the fastest and easy to complete. After saying this, Senior Brother Wang turned and walked to the back room. A quarter of an hour later, Wang the Senior Brother came over holding several brochures. Junior Brother Wu, these are the tasks that I have carefully selected. Take a look and see if there are any that you like, Junior Brother. Senior Brother Wang's tone of voice is obviously much better than before, as if he seems to care about Wu Fan. Thank you, Senior Brother. Wu Fan reached out to take the booklet, then walked to the chair and sat down, and then began to read slowly. After Wu Fan looked through all the books, he stood up and said, Senior Brother Wang, I would like to choose this demon elimination mission. Senior Brother Wang took the book and glanced at the mission chosen by Wu Fan, and then his eyes showed surprise. Junior Brother Wu, although this demonic wolf is a first-level demonic beast, it is equivalent to the cultivation level of our monks in the middle stage of Qi refining. You are only at the 5th level of Qi refining now. I think this task is still too dangerous. I advise you to change to other tasks. Okay. Senior Brother Wang persuaded him earnestly, as if he was worried about Wu Fan's safety. Wu Fan knows that the 1st to 3rd levels of Qi training are the initial stage, the 4th to 6th levels are the middle stage, the 7th to 9th levels are the late stages, the 10th to 11th levels can be called the peak, the 12th level is the great perfection of Qi refining, and the 12th level is the final stage. You can try to build a foundation. Although the demonic wolf is at the 1st level, its strength is equivalent to the middle stage of Qi training. If it is a second-level monster, its strength is equivalent to the late Qi training stage, or even the great perfection of Qi training. The third-level monsters are so powerful. They can even speak human words. Their strength is equivalent to that of monks in the early or mid-stage of Foundation establishment. The strength of fourth-order monsters is equivalent to that of late-stage Foundation establishment or Dzogchen. When the monsters reach the fourth level, only the golden elixir ancestor can kill them. If it is a fifth-level monster, its strength is equivalent to that of the ancestor of Jindan. When the monster reaches the fifth level, it is really a big monster. They can swallow clouds and smoke, turn over rivers and seas, and their IQ is not lower than that of human monks. The mission Wu Fan chose was a demon elimination mission. There was a small town more than 20,000 miles away from the Qingfeng sect. The small town was also within the Qingfeng sect's sphere of influence. 2 months ago, a demon wolf suddenly appeared in that small town. Has eaten a lot of people now, and the residents there live in fear every day, fearing that they will be eaten by the demon wolf one day. That town is within the Qingfeng sect's sphere of influence. Now that something has happened, the Qingfeng sect must step in to solve it, so Wu Fan has chosen this task. After completing this task, he can receive 300 spirit stones. Wu Fan doesn't care. 300 spiritual stones. He accepted this task just for the sake of passing by. There is a mountain range not far from the town, called the Black Dragon Mountain Range. This mountain range stretches for thousands of miles. Looking down from the sky, this mountain range looks like a black dragon. So it was named Black Dragon Mountain Range. When Wu Fan was watching the mission just now, one of the missions was to collect elixir. This elixir is called Dragon Heart 9-Leaf Shi, which is an auxiliary elixir for refining the foundation building pill. And this elixir grows deep in the Black Dragon Mountains. This elixir is very precious, and it is not available in Wu Fan's space medicine field, so Wu Fan wants to go to the Black Dragon Mountains to see if he can find this elixir, and then complete this task by the way. He is now the 7th level of Qi refining, is not the 5th level. His cultivation was only suppressed by him using the Heavenly Ghost Qi condensation technique, so senior brother Wang advised him not to do this task. Wu Fan didn't think he could even kill a first-level demon wolf, not to mention he had several high-level magic weapons in hand. Wu Fan even suspected that the demon wolf ran away from the Black Dragon Mountain Range. Thinking of this, Wu Fan looked at senior brother Wang and said, "Thank you for your concern, senior brother, but junior brother, I still want to give it a try. I think that even if I can't kill the demon wolf, I can still escape if I want to." Well, since junior brother has already thought about it, I won't persuade him anymore. Senior brother Wang shook his head helplessly, and then registered the mission Wu Fan took on. Senior brother Wang, if nothing happens, I'll take my leave first. Junior brother, walk slowly. After Wu Fan walked out of the office, he directly stepped on the flying sword and returned to his courtyard. Then he put away the mysterious sky-severing formation. After taking another look at the courtyard, he turned into a escaping light and flew out of the Qingfeng gate. The Black Dragon Mountain Range is more than 20,000 miles away from the Qingfeng gate. If Wu Fan flies with his sword, it will take about half a month to get there. But after he flew out of the Qingfeng gate for hundreds of miles, he took the Yinwu boat and continued on his way. Wu Fan didn't want to waste his mana on the road. The Yinwu boat was extremely fast, and it only took Wu Fan 5 days to get there. When he arrived in that small town, he had not yet used the fastest speed of the Yinwu boat. This shows how fast the Yinwu boat is, but this Yinwu boat indeed consumes too many spiritual stones. In these 5 days this boat has used a full 500 spirit stones, which is more than the spirit stones he earned from taking the mission. However, Wu Fan is now rich and does not care about a mere few hundred spirit stones. On this day, there was a small town 500 miles away from the edge of the Black Dragon Mountain Range. This small town was called Linshan Town. On a mountain peak not far from Linshan Town, there is a small courtyard sitting on it. At this time, an old man is standing in the courtyard. The old man looks about 70 years old, with gray hair, wrinkles on his face, and body. Wearing a gray gown, he was waiting for something anxiously. He turned his attention to the small town at the foot of the mountain and whispered to himself, "Why hasn't the sect sent anyone over yet? The demon wolf has already eaten 5. There are more than 10 people. If no one comes, I think this town will not be saved." At this moment, a ray of light suddenly flew from the sky. The ray of light stopped over the courtyard, and then a young man wearing a white robe was revealed. When the old man saw the young man's clothes, his eyes lit up and he hurriedly greeted him. He bowed with his hands clasped and said, "Little old man Huang Tsang, the envoy you have been waiting for is finally here. Is it the demon wolf you told the sect about attacking villages and towns?" The young man asked, looking at the old man. This young man was none other than Wu Fan himself. After 5 days of flying, he finally arrived at Linshan town. "It's the sect that I'm reporting to. Because that demon wolf is really powerful, little old man, I can't fight it, so I can only report it to the sect." The old man replied with a sad look on his face. "Then do you know where the demon wolf is?" Wu Fan then asked. "I don't know how to fly in the air, and I don't dare to chase that demonic wolf, so I don't know where it is." The old man shook his head and said helplessly. Wu Fan saw that the old man was only at the 3rd level of qi refining, and knew that what he said was true. If you want to practice air control, you must practice the 4th level of qi refining. In other words, you can only fly in the air when you reach the middle stage of qi refining. At this moment, the old man spoke again, "But that demon wolf comes to attack villages and towns every evening. Your Majesty, you only need to wait a few hours to see it." This old man named Huang Tsang was actually a member of the Qingfeng sect before, but the sect has regulations. If a cultivator has not reached the middle stage of qi training before the age of 20, he can only leave the sect and be assigned to station in some places. At the same time, the sect will also deprive him of all the benefits in the sect. Chapter 39 Killing the Demonic Wolf. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In that case, let's wait for a few hours. Wu Fan was not in a hurry and decided to wait for a few hours. After getting rid of the demon wolf, it would not be too late for him to go to the Black Dragon Mountain range. When the old man heard Wu Fan say that he could wait, he quickly bent down and clasped his fists and said, "If the envoy does not abandon you, please come to my humble home to rest for a while. You have come from afar and it is really hard." Wu Fan nodded, then landed on the ground and was led into the house by the old man. Linshan town is not big, with only about 500 or 600 households. The farmers here live in fear every day, just because they are scared by the demon wolf and worry that they will be swallowed by the demon wolf one day. Every day when the sun is about to set, the farmers will hide in their own cellars in advance. This kind of life has lasted for more than 2 months. They don't know when this kind of life will pass. The fearful life every day has also cast a layer of haze on the farmers' hearts. On this day, the farmers were working as usual. As the sun was about to set, everyone put down their work and hurried home. At this moment, a wolf howled suddenly in the distance. When these people heard the howl, their faces turned pale with fear. They didn't know why the demon wolf came early today. At the same time, these people all ran home quickly, fearing that they would be eaten by the demon wolf if they ran too slowly. Just as everyone was running for their lives, a scream suddenly came from a distance. Everyone turned their heads and saw that at the intersection, there was a black demon wolf more than 3 meters long, biting the head of a middle-aged man. Then the demon wolf raised its neck and directly put the man's whole body into its mouth. Then you can hear the demon wolf chewing, and even the crackling sound of it chewing bones. At this time, the demon wolf was squatting on the ground, with the man's blood still flowing from the corner of its mouth. Its demon eyes were half open and half closed, and crackling sounds came from its mouth from time to time, as if it was enjoying the taste of eating people. Everyone saw this terrifying scene, and they were all scared to death. They ran home screaming. At this moment, a sword light suddenly flew in the sky, and the sword light stopped above the demon wolf, and then a man's voice was heard. "You demon wolf, you are so brave that you dare to eat people. Come and die." That when this voice appeared, all the people who were running stopped again. They looked up at the sky in the direction of the voice. When everyone saw the figure in the air, they were all excited and tears filled their eyes. Everyone, look, there is an immortal. It's really an immortal. Ha, an immortal came to save us, that's great. Everyone, kneel down quickly and kowtow to the immortal. At this time, all the people in Linshan town knelt on the ground, facing the figure in the sky, and kept kowtow to him. This figure was of course Wu Fan. When Wu Fan found the demon wolf, he had already flown over on his sword, but unfortunately he was still a step late and was eaten by the demon wolf. When Wu Fan saw this scene, he was also very upset. You know, Wu Fan also walked step by step from Immortal. At this time, Wu Fan was staring at the demon wolf with murderous eyes, and the demon wolf also looked over after hearing his voice. Then the demon wolf roared at Wu Fan, but in its demon eyes, there was obviously a trace of human fear in it. It could feel that the man in the sky was more powerful than it. At the same time, Wu Fan slapped his storage bag and directly released his high-level magic weapon Liang sword, and the Liang sword immediately turned into a sword light and shot towards the demon wolf. The demon wolf also knew the power of this flying sword. It suddenly opened its mouth and spit out several wind blades from its mouth. The flying sword and the wind blade collided in the sky, making a loud bang-bang sound. This demon wolf was also powerful. It actually blocked Wu Fan's attack with the wind blade. You know, Liang's sword is a high-level magic weapon, and Wu Fan is a 7th-level Qi training cultivator. Wu Fan did not expect that his attack would be blocked, but he knew that the demon wolf could not send out many such wind blades. After all, it was only a 1st-level demon beast, and it was impossible for it to have too much demon power. In fact, Wu Fan guessed correctly that the demon wolf could not send out many wind blades. Wu Fan snorted coldly and controlled the flying sword to chop at the demon wolf again. The demon wolf showed fear in its eyes, and hurriedly spit out a few more wind blades, and then raised its legs and ran away. The flying sword was blocked again. At the same time, the demon wolf was running out of the town at a speed as fast as lightning. Wu Fan knew that the demon wolf was called Fierce Wind Wolf. It could spit out wind blades from its mouth and ran very fast. It was a low-level demon beast. Wu Fan knew that he could not delay any longer. The demon wolf was too fast. If it really ran away, he would have to spend more time and effort. Wu Fan then controlled the flying sword to shoot at the demon wolf. The demon wolf could only turn back helplessly and continue to spit out a few wind blades. There were a few loud bangs and the flying sword and the wind blade collided again. When the demon wolf was about to continue to escape, it saw a faint green light shooting towards it. The green light shot without any sound. When the demon wolf saw the green light, it was too late. The green light went directly through its head. After passing through the demon wolf's head, the green light flew towards Wu Fan again, and then fell into Wu Fan's hand, revealing its true form. It was an emerald green needle. Yes, this flying needle was Wu Fan's other high-level magic weapon Xianxia needle. After the demon wolf was pierced through the head by the Xianxia needle, the demon body suddenly paused, then shook, and then fell to the ground with a bang, deader than dead. When the people in Linshan town saw that the demon wolf was killed by the immortal, they all cheered and jumped for joy. They were so happy. They had waited for this day for a long time. Finally, they no longer had to worry about being eaten by the demon wolf. They could live and work normally. They kowtowed to Wu Fan again, saying some words of thanks. Wu Fan also had a smile on his face at this time. He was actually very happy to be able to do something for these mortals. At this time, Wu Fan waved his arm, and the body of the demon wolf suddenly flew towards him, then slowly shrank and entered his storage bag. Then Wu Fan flew away on his flying sword. The body of the demon wolf can also be sold for hundreds of spirit stones. Wu Fan can't just leave the body here. After Wu Fan flew away, he came to the courtyard of the old man named Huangcang again. Your Excellency is so powerful. When I watched you show your power just now, I felt my blood boiling. Thank you for saving these mortals. The old man saw Wu Fan flying over and hurried to greet him, while saying flattering words of thanks. I came here to complete the mission of the sect, so you don't have to thank me for anything. I have finished the things here and am ready to leave now. You just need to report the things here to the sect. After Wu Fan finished speaking, he flew away on the flying sword. Don't worry, Your Excellency, I will report this to the sect right away. The old man saw Wu Fan leave as soon as he said he would, and hurriedly shouted to Wu Fan's back. Chapter 40 Black Dragon Mountains. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. After Wu Fan left Linshan town, he flew straight to the Black Dragon Mountain range without stopping. When Wu Fan arrived at the mountain range, the sky was already dark, but Wu Fan had no intention of stopping and flew directly into the mountain range. Since Wu Fan cultivated the Spirit Eye technique, even in the dark night, it was as bright as day in his eyes. The Black Dragon Mountain range stretches for thousands of miles, and in the depths of the mountain range, there are numerous monsters. After flying over the outer periphery of the mountain range, Wu Fan lowered his escape light and then slowly walked into the depths. He didn't dare to fly to the depths of the mountain range in a big way. If he encountered a monster above the 3rd level, he would be in big trouble and might even die here. Since Wu Fan entered the depths of the mountain range, he used the Heavenly Ghost Gathering Chi technique to cover up his own breath, and then he dared to walk in with confidence. A night passed, and the sky was slightly bright, but Wu Fan was not in a good mood at this time, because he had been searching for a whole night and didn't find the Dragon Heart 9-leaf Ganoderma. This Dragon Heart 9-leaf Ganoderma is not sold in the market, and Wu Fan did not buy the seeds, but Wu Fan wanted to get this elixir very much, because this elixir is an auxiliary elixir for refining the foundation building pill. Speaking of the foundation building pill, it is very powerful. As long as the immortal cultivator reaches the 12th level of chi refining, he must take the foundation building pill to break through the bottleneck. If the foundation is successfully built, it will be officially out of the mortal status, and from then on, he will embark on the road of immortal cultivation. The lifespan will reach 300 years, and he will also be an elder-level figure in the sect. If you want to build a foundation, you can't do without the foundation building pill, but the foundation building pill is very scarce even in large sects, because some of the elixir for refining the foundation building pill is almost extinct, and many immortal cultivators are also unable to build a foundation because they don't have the foundation building pill. Wu Fan knew his physique. Even if he really got a foundation building pill from the sect in the future, he didn't think he could successfully build a foundation, because he knew that some cultivators could successfully build a foundation by taking one foundation building pill, but this was a minority of cultivators. Most cultivators might not succeed even if they took 2 or even 3 foundation building pills, and the foundation building pills were very scarce, so many cultivators could not break through because they did not have enough foundation building pills, and finally regretted their lives. Wu Fan wanted to prepare early and try to collect enough spiritual medicines for refining foundation building pills before he cultivated to the 12th level of Qi training, and then cultivate them in large quantities in a small space, and finally refine enough foundation building pills by himself. So Wu Fan came to the Black Dragon Mountains. Wu Fan searched for spiritual medicines in the mountains for 7 days. Although he did not find the Dragon Heart 9-leaf Ganoderma, he found more than a dozen spiritual medicines that were not in the space, and he finally had a little smile on his face. Wu Fan has gradually entered the depths of the mountains. He also saw some 1st and 2nd level monsters, but Wu Fan has the Heavenly Ghost Gathering technique. Under his deliberate avoidance, those low-level monsters did not find him. When he came to a valley, he found a spiritual medicine by a pool. Wu Fan looked around and did not find any monsters. Then he slowly walked towards the spiritual medicine. Just when he wanted to pick the spiritual medicine, a hissing sound suddenly came from the pool. Wu Fan hurriedly stepped back and saw a huge black spider suddenly emerged from the pool. The huge spider was about 2 feet in size, with 8 eyes and 8 giant feet. At this time, it was staring at Wu Fan with its front pupils. It turned out to be a 2nd-level monster bloodthirsty demon spider. This is troublesome. It has discovered me. Wu Fan's face was very ugly. He didn't want to fight with this demon spider. But he thought it was too late to release the cloud boat to escape now. The demon spider would not give him a chance to escape. Thinking of this, he released the flying sword and prepared for battle. The demon spider's eyes also emitted a fierce light, as if it was ready to attack. At the same time, Wu Fan jumped into the air and stepped on the flying sword. Then he was about to fly backwards. He was actually ready to escape. As expected, the bloodthirsty demon spider did not give him a chance to escape. As soon as Wu Fan jumped onto the flying sword, the demon spider had already launched an attack. It spit out a white silk net from its mouth and went straight to Wu Fan. Wu Fan had no choice but to give up escaping. Since he couldn't leave, he could only fight. Wu Fan silently recited the formula, and then a fireball suddenly appeared in his hand. He pushed his palm forward, and the fireball flew straight to the silk net. With a whoosh sound, the silk net was burned by the fireball without any trace. At this time, the bloodthirsty demon spider was waving its 8 giant feet and rushing towards Wu Fan as fast as lightning. Wu Fan did not dare to neglect it. He drove the fiery sun sword straight to the demon spider and chopped it. The demon spider swung its front feet and with a bang, the flying sword was bounced out, and the demon spider's front feet only had some cracks. Wu Fan was stunned. He felt a little incredible. This was a top-grade magic weapon flying sword. It can also be seen how hard the demon spider's body is. The demon spider felt pain and screamed hissing. It was seen that it stabbed Wu Fan fiercely with its other giant foot. The front end of the giant foot was sharp and shone with cold light. It looked particularly sharp. If it stabbed Wu Fan's body, it would definitely make a big hole in his body. Wu Fan's flying sword was bounced far away, and it was too late to fly back to rescue. At this time, Wu Fan slapped the storage bag, and a small silver shield suddenly flew out of it. The small shield grew longer in the wind and suddenly became a huge shield blocking Wu Fan. There was a loud bang. The demon spider retreated again, and Wu Fan did not miss this opportunity. At this time, the Liang sword had flown back. Wu Fan controlled the flying sword and chopped at the demon spider again. The demon spider could only block with its front feet again. The two collided, and there was another loud bang. The demon spider shook and then retreated a few steps. At this time, a green needle flew over silently and whooshed into the demon spider's pupil. The demon spider rolled violently on the ground, bringing up a cloud of dust. After a while, the demon spider was motionless. At this time, Wu Fan was like a fainted man, lying on the ground gasping for breath. Wu Fan didn't have much mana in his body. Although he had now broken through to the 7th level of Qi refining, he had just controlled 2 high-grade magic tools and 1 top-grade magic tool. It is conceivable that he couldn't have too much mana in his body. After a while, Wu Fan sat up and took out a bottle of pills from his storage bag. This pill was called Huanglong pill, which was a pill that quickly restored mana. He opened the bottle, poured a pill into his mouth, and then began to meditate and breathe. 2 hours later, Wu Fan stood up and walked to the corpse of the bloodthirsty demon spider and watched it for a while. Wu Fan had taken out many jade slips from the sutra library before, including several that introduced various demon beasts. It was said that the bloodthirsty demon spider had a hard body, great strength, and could spit out spider webs. Its 8 giant feet were top-grade materials for refining magic tools. It was also the first time for Wu Fan to kill a 2nd-level demon beast. He didn't expect that he could really kill this demon spider. After Wu Fan put away the corpse of the bloodthirsty demon spider, he walked to the side of the pond and put away the spiritual medicine. Then he continued to walk deeper into the mountains.